Hello. Today's topic for discussion is humans. Are we destroying our world and ourselves? If you've not met me before, my name is Alison from Your Soul Family. At Your Soul Family, we teach techniques so that you can be in control of your life and be more effective at work and live more harmoniously at home. So how did we come by these techniques? Well, in my 40s, I was unexpectedly widowed and suddenly found myself with 2 children, a demanding job and no partner, and I really was not coping with life. It took me some time and some pain to find myself out of that and move my life forward. And the techniques that we teach are some of the things I use to help me move my life forward. Anyway, today's topic. Before I get into today's topic, sorry, I forgot to ask. I hope that you can hear us, let me know. And what's also interesting is, where do you come from? So drop me a comment or give me a like so I know that you can hear. So if you're on the broadcast, the replay, if you're on the replay, I will monitor this over the next couple of days. So please drop comments and likes like anyone else that might be on the live. Thank you. So today, the topic is humans. Are we destroying our world and ourselves? The first conversation I'd like to have is around science versus spirituality. So science is about everything outside of us. It's about measuring the world and analysing it and the universe and the galaxy, really, rather than the universe, to understand more about the external realm around us. Whereas spirituality is different. That's more about going within ourselves to know more about who we are and to get to know ourselves better. So which is the better approach? Or maybe we need a balance of both. So when we look at science, certainly through the 20th century, there were great leaps forward in science and our understanding of the world that we live in. In the last 20 years with spirituality, there's definitely been an increasing interest in spirituality, and there's much more about it available within the public domain. But personally, I feel that we need a balance of both. We need to understand where it is we live, but we also need to go within to understand who we are. And I think we get a better appreciation by doing both of those things. So let's look a little bit more at science. So in the 1500s, when Christopher Columbus set out on his journeys westward to discover what was known as the New World, the unknown world, his sailors thought that the world was flat, and that if they sailed too far west, they were actually worried that they might drop off the edge of the world. Well, so with increasing science and the understanding of Earth and of the galaxy that Earth is in, we now understand that it is a sphere and that it rotates around our star, the Sun. But that's relatively recently. So do we understand our own world and the realm that we live within? Well, I would argue that perhaps we don't. So when you look at the new theories around dark matter and dark energy, I think there's a lot that we don't understand. So dark matter is a hypothetical matter which enables us to understand how light travels through space and how the galaxy holds together. And it's estimated that this dark matter is about 23% of our universe. Looking at dark energy, which is also hypothetical, but it's felt it is needed in the mechanism of the universe to enable the universe to still be expanding and growing, and that growth is at an increasing speed. It's dark energy can also have an equivalent mass, and it's estimated that this dark energy represents 73% of our universe. So if you take both together, that's 96%. So only 4% of our universe, which is the sun, the planets, and interstellar dust, which we have had a chance to examine, is all that we can physically see at the moment. And that's all that we've really investigated. So I think there's a lot about this universe that we don't understand. So when you look at the spiritual side of life, with nature and who we are, I think that helps us to understand more about ourselves and who we are. Humans are perpetually trying to evolve. And some of us say that we use the karmic wheel to evolve. And that in that, we say that we want to work to offset the debts of our past way of living, and at the same time not create new debts. Gosh, that sounds hard to me. It sounds a little bit like a hamster wheel where you're perpetually working, and maybe not achieving what you want to. So I like to think about humans evolving through the cycle of life, that we're actually born to die to be born again. And that in living a life, we get the chance to have life experiences, to learn. And then when we come back again in a new life, we can check out whether we've learnt those things and perhaps learn something new. When you look at our cultures, over 50% of the population lives in a culture that is rooted in the belief of reincarnation. So reincarnation is about the belief that we live many lives. And that when we die, that's not the end. Our consciousness continues to live, and we live in a different realm from which we are born again back on earth. I think the purpose of humanity is to evolve, not to condemn. And I think it's about growth and gaining new experiences. It's not about dying. And I think those experiences we come to have is about not failing to have them, but to have as many as possible. And that we come here to be. We don't come here not to be. So I think that we need to have both external experiences and to appreciate the earth we live on, that is our home, and the galaxy and the universe that it sits within. But I also think we need to have that internal experience so we can know the eternal us, and we can speak to our inner you to remember our ongoing experiences. I think humanity at the moment is in a pivotal point. And I think that we need both science and spirituality. Do you agree with me? Drop a like or your view. Let me know what you think. Thank you. Thank you. So the next thing I want to talk about is, how do we explain our behaviour? Well, my observations of the world at the moment in March 2019, well, we've got In Europe, we've got Brexit going on, and that's creating a lot of tensions between different nationalities. We have the ongoing scenario, Syria, and migration of people away from Syria, and what should we do about it? We have Donald Trump in the US, a very powerful nation, but he's building a wall between him and Mexico. What's all that about? And we can see the increasing power of the East and their increasing affluence and consumption of the Earth's resources. So you can see that happening in China and Vietnam and Korea. Well, they're all entitled to a good life too. So what is all this about? And at the same time, we can see Mother Nature is struggling. 40% of the world is covered in agriculture to make food for humans. We are depleting the world's resources. And we are creating imbalances. And you can see that from the pollution and the increase in the Earth's temperature. I actually think that humans are probably a plague on the Earth. And if we don't look after Mother Earth, that is not good. Is this turmoil in our world due to our envy? We want what somebody else has got. And so we're increasingly demanding more and more within our lives. Well, I think envy is actually natural, but I believe we need to have envy in a wise way. How do I describe that? It's not about having envy and wanting what somebody else's want. It's actually having envy on what somebody has wished themselves into their life and what they have put their energy into. You can see has created a good outcome. So I think envy can be motivational, that we can wish into our lives what we are seeing other people are doing that is good. So I think in some ways envy can be played more positively because it is motivational. Do you agree with me? Is that me just thinking that, or do you agree with me? Drop me a like or a comment. I will look at this over the coming days and see what you guys say to me. And I will respond. Thank you. I actually think that humans' nature, our base nature, is to evolve, to be our better selves, to be a better daughter, to be a better partner, to be a better mother, to be a better friend. Look back at yourself over the last year. Look back at a life lesson that perhaps you have been learning and you've been working on at trying to make yourself better. And if you look at it, I don't think you go in a straight line. So, and you have to, it goes sort of in a tack. It's a bit like a sailing boat. You don't go straight to where you are, you sometimes take a tack. So if, for example, your life lesson was learning not to shout when you are anxious, you might be successful for that for a while and you think, oh, I'm starting to learn this lesson. And then suddenly you are anxious and you hear yourself shouting. And I think it's because you have set the intent not to shout when you're anxious, that it helps you to become a detached observer on your own behaviour. And therefore, when you're shouting in your anxiety, another part of you is saying, come on, Alison, you decided you didn't want to behave like this, so why are you shouting? And sometimes you have to develop some techniques for yourself to be able to listen to that detached observer. And certainly what I do is I take 3 deep breaths. And when I've taken my 3 deep breaths, I can reset myself and try to do the better behaviour. And how do we know what is good behaviour and what is wrong behaviour, bad behaviour? And I think actually we base our behaviour on our values, and our values come from our desire. We desire to be something. So I believe in fairness in this world. And that value can drive behaviour. The trouble is, I think our values change over time. So let me give you an example. Even within my own lifetime, how women are treated, the value of how women are treated is changing. So when I was a child, a lot of children were developed and pointed in the direction of a very domestic life. Sorry, excuse me. So how a daughter was raised was different from how a son was raised, and the lessons you were encouraged to go to were different. Thankfully, in the school I went to, I was kicked out of the sewing class. Possibly I wasn't very good at it, admittedly, and I was sent to Latin, where I gained a much broader perspective of the world and the history of life. And I was thankful for that. But we don't all get that opportunity. But I do think our values around women are changing. And you start to see that in the workplace, in women being given more equal opportunity, and also in how women are treated. You see that in the Me Too campaign, where it now becomes unacceptable to sexually abuse women at work. So I think it is hard to know what was right, because what was acceptable in the past, so in my youth, it was acceptable to pat a woman on her bottom, to say, I think you're nice, but you would not do that today. So I think humanity, I believe humanity does create their own experience. And I believe we are creating our experience, because I think what we believe in, our thought is where we put our energy. And where we put our energy, and we do actions, and it is our actions that create our life experiences. So we are, by that chain, creating our own reality. So how do we control the reality that we have? Well, I think that's about controlling our thoughts. If we have good thoughts and we think the best of people, good things tend to come to us. If we don't dwell on the negative things, we tend not to experience negativity around us. But when bad things happen to us, and sometimes they do, we shouldn't dwell on them. We should think about the perfection of what we do want in our lives. And we should be grateful for the good that is already in our life. And we should think about and believe in good outcomes in our lives, because then they will come to us. Now, I do think sometimes there is a time lapse between when we believe and we work towards good things in our life to when we truly experience them. And I think sometimes that elapsed time causes people not to believe in the process. But the process is there and is working. And my observation is that if you realise and believe in that process, you will live a better life. So to summarise, and also often as I like, there is a quote in this. I think it is not to be, is that looking backwards, for those that are not embarrassed by who they were last year are probably not learning enough, because we are all learning new life lessons and we are evolving. And I think George Bernard Shaw summarised this very well. And these are his words. There are those who see the world as it is and ask, why? And there are those who see the world as it could be, and ask, why not? I would ask each of us to embrace our best version of ourselves and to ask the question of ourselves, why not? So that's it from me, Alison Wem of Your Soul Family. Same time next week, 1 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. New topic to talk about. In the meantime, do have a look at my blog, Life and Living, and you can find it at yoursoulfamily.com. So Your Soul Family, all one word, at yoursoulfamily.com. And you can also find there some free soul map templates. Have a go at downloading them. Colour them in, feel the experience, use them in meditation to help yourself find your inner you. Thank you very much, and bye for now.